Have you ever looked in a mirror and thought, why do I look older than I feel? Maybe it is not the wrinkles or the gray hair. It could be your haircut. That was the case for Janet. She had clean, natural, gray hair, and still something was off. She looked tired, a little weighed down. The truth is, 4 common hair mistakes can instantly add years to your face. But the good news? These mistakes are easy to fix. And once you do, you may just feel like yourself again. Janet is like so many women over 60. Her hair is fine, naturally wavy, and mostly gray. She is not into high-maintenance styles and never really felt the need to color it. But lately, when she looked in the mirror, she wondered why she looked more tired than she felt. So she reached out to John, a hairstylist with years of experience, and asked for help. What she wanted was simple, a style that felt youthful but still easy to manage. In this video, John will walk us through Janet's transformation. It is not about making her look 20 again. It is about helping her look more like herself, just fresher, softer, and more confident. With a few smart tweaks, a good haircut could do all of that and more. A lot of women over 60 deal with the same hair issues, thinning strands, graying color, and just not as much volume as before. But here's the thing that most people do not realize. It is not always the hair itself. Sometimes, it is the haircut that is making everything worse. When bangs are too short or disconnected, or when the back of your hair is too heavy, it can drag your whole face down. And when your crown is flat, the sides look puffier than they really are. That is exactly what Janet was dealing with. She thought her face looked too full, but in reality, the volume just sat in the wrong places. Add to that her hesitation to color, and her hair ended up looking flat and tired. The good news? These are all fixable. Let's start with Janet's bangs, because honestly, this one change made a world of difference. Now, bangs can be tricky when they are cut too short or not blended into the rest of the hairstyle. They can take on a life of their own. That was exactly Janet's situation. Her bangs were just sitting there, floating above her forehead like a little shelf. No connection to the rest of her layers. No soft transition. And as a result, her face looked boxed in and a bit older than she really is. Imagine putting a picture frame around your face. If the top of that frame is too short and stiff and the sides are long and flat, you're going to highlight all the wrong angles. That is what disconnected bangs can do. They draw attention to the forehead and cheeks in a way that can feel harsh or unbalanced. And for Janet, it made her cheeks look wider and her entire face look heavier. Now, this isn't just about looks. When bangs do not work with the rest of your cut, they also don't behave. They flip up. They stick out. They resist styling. Janet even mentioned in her email that no matter what she tried, her bangs wouldn't sit right. And honestly, that is not surprising. Hair follows shape. And when there's no shape, structure goes rogue. So what do? We softened the line. We took the bangs and gently connected them into the front layers of her haircut. Not a drastic change. No hard edges. Just a smooth, natural transition that followed the shape of her face. And almost instantly, it was like her cheekbones popped. Her eyes lifted. Her whole look opened up. This simple blending made a huge difference in how youthful and flattering the cut became. It is amazing how one small shift in placement and shape can change the entire vibe. Janet looked lighter, fresher, and you could tell from her reaction that she finally felt good about her bangs, maybe for the first time in years. So here is the takeaway. If your bangs feel disconnected or you find yourself constantly fussing with them, don't assume it is your fault or that your hair just doesn't cooperate. It is probably the cut, and it is a fixable one. Ask your stylist to soften the line and blend your bangs into the front sections. A gentle face framing approach works wonders. You're not trying to hide anything. You're just helping your features shine through. Bangs, when done right, can frame your face beautifully. But when they stand alone, They can steal the spotlight in all the wrong ways. It is not about cutting more. It is about cutting smarter. The right line, the right angle, the right connection. That is what brings balance back to your face and lets your natural features do the talking. Now let's talk about the back of Janet's haircut, specifically the nape area. You would be surprised how often this part gets ignored. It might not be something we see when we look in the mirror, but it plays a huge role in how our whole haircut looks and feels. For Janet, the back of her hair was bulky. It had no shape, no curve, no tapering. It just kind of sat there. And here's the thing. When there's too much weight at the bottom, especially around the neck, it drags everything down. From the side view, the back of her bob almost created a shelf. No movement, no softness. And when that happens, it doesn't just affect the shape of the haircut. It changes how the head and neck appear, making the entire silhouette feel heavier, shorter, and honestly, less elegant. What we wanted to do was bring some lift and flow to that area. So we added what's called beveling. Think of it like a soft inward curve that hugs the neck instead of just piling on top of it. It's subtle, but it changes everything. Once we took out that extra bulk and shaped the nape with a gentle curve, the whole cut started to breathe. It felt lighter. It looked lifted. And most importantly, it directed the eye upward instead of dragging it down. Now let's talk about why that matters. As we get older, one of the things we all want is to fight that downward pull. Gravity is already doing its job, right? So the last thing we need is a haircut that works against us. A strong nape shape with soft beveling does the opposite. It gives structure without being harsh. It supports the rest of the haircut, and it adds a little bit of polish that makes everything look more intentional. Janet's new neck shape made her neck look longer and more graceful. It made her profile look cleaner and younger. And it wasn't a dramatic change. It was just thoughtful shaping in an area that is often overlooked. So here's your takeaway. If you feel like your haircut looks heavy in the back, or like your style just falls flat when viewed from the side, take a look at your nape. Ask your stylist to shape it, not just cut it. A little beveling can go a long way. And let's be honest, nobody wants their hair to feel like a weight they are carrying around. The back should flow with the rest of the cut, not fight it. And when it does, that is when your whole style starts to feel pulled together and elevated. A well-shaped nape is one of those small touches that make a big difference. You might not notice it right away, but others will. It's that extra bit of care that turns a basic haircut into a beautiful one. Let's move to the top of the head, because this is where a lot of hairstyles either come alive or fall flat. For Janet, the top of her hair was just there. It had no layers, no lift, and no movement. Everything was the same length. And while that might seem like a safe choice, it actually worked against her. Instead of looking sleek and polished, her hair looked heavy, especially around the sides. And the crown? Completely flat. Now, here is the thing. When your hair is flat on top, the rest of your face can start to feel weighed down too. It changes how people see the shape of your head, your face, and even your posture. A flat crown makes the whole look feel bottom-heavy. And that is exactly what was happening with Janet. The fullness on the sides of her hair was being exaggerated by the lack of any volume up top. What we did next made a huge difference. We added layers of the crown, just enough to bring in some lift and movement. Nothing extreme. We were not trying to turn it into a spiky or overly textured cut. We just wanted it to breathe. And once we did that, everything changed. Suddenly, her hair had life again. It moved when she walked. It caught the light. And most importantly, it framed her face in a way that felt balanced and modern. Here is why this works. Layers on top help lift the eye upward. That alone can make someone look more awake, more vibrant. And when you create volume up high, it makes the sides look slimmer by comparison. It's like visual balance for the whole head. Janet's new layers gave her that little boost she needed, not just physically in her hair, but emotionally too. She even said, "I feel like I got a bit of my old self back." And that is what it's all about. We're not trying to create a brand new look. We're just giving shape and movement to what is already there. So if your hair feels heavy or you constantly find yourself flattening it down with products or heat, it might be time to rethink the top. Ask your stylist for soft crown layers. Not choppy or aggressive, just enough to add lift and flow. Hair is not meant to sit still. It should move with you. And the crown? That is your spotlight. Give it some shape, and you'll be amazed at how much younger and fresher you feel every single day. A little bit of layering on top can be the difference between a haircut that just sits there and one that brings your whole face to life. Let's talk about color, because for Janet and a lot of women, this can be a tricky subject. She had gone naturally gray, which is a beautiful, empowering choice. And she made it with intention. She wanted less upkeep, less chemical processing, and more authenticity. Fair. But here's the thing. When your hair is all one tone, especially a soft gray, it can sometimes wash you out. Janet's hair didn't look bad. Not all. But it lacked depth. It lacked movement. And because it was all a single silvery tone, her skin tone looked a little muted too. Everything kind of blended. There was no contrast, no sparkle, no pop. So we introduced the idea of adding lowlights. Nothing drastic. We're not talking about bleach or bright streaks. Just a few subtle tones. Think smoky taupe, soft ash brown, or cool beige to create a little bit of dimension. And wow, what a difference that made. Here is the deal. Lowlights work with your natural gray. They don't cover it up. They don't hide it. They support it. And because they are deeper than your base color, they create the illusion of thickness and richness. Janet's hair immediately looked fuller. It caught the light in a new way. And her face? It had more warmth, more glow. All because we added a little bit of contrast. And here is what makes this such a great option for women who are tired of constant maintenance. Lowlights grow out beautifully. You don't get a hard root line. You don't have to run to the salon every few weeks. It is a do-it-once, enjoy it for months kind of thing. You can even let it fade naturally over time if you want. No pressure, no commitment. Janet was nervous about adding color again, but once she saw how soft and subtle the lowlights looked, she was sold. It didn't feel like a big change. It felt like a lift, a little extra energy, like someone had just opened the curtains and let some sunshine in. So, if you're on the fence about color, here's what I would say. You don't have to go bold to make a statement. Sometimes, the quietest changes are the most powerful. And when it comes to gray hair, supporting it with a bit of tone and depth can be the thing that takes your look from fine to wow. Your hair is part of your presence. It reflects how you feel, how you carry yourself, and how others see you. Giving it a little support with low-maintenance color is not about hiding who you are. It is about helping your natural beauty shine. Because here's the truth. Gray is stunning. It is elegant. It is strong. And with just a touch of dimension, it can be even more radiant than you imagined. And remember, the goal is not to change your identity. The goal is to enhance what's already there, to celebrate it, not cover it up. Janet had one big concern that kept coming up. She felt like her face was too full. She used that exact word, full. And that's something I hear a lot, especially from women over 60. But here's what I've learned after years behind the chair. It's not always about the face. Sometimes it's the haircut that's creating the illusion of fullness. See, what was really happening with Janet was this. The volume in her hair was sitting too low. All the weight was around the cheek and jaw area, which made those features look broader than they were. And when the eye is drawn downward like that, it can make the face look heavier even when it isn't. It's a super common issue. As we age, gravity already does its job. Skin loses elasticity, and we tend to lose some of that natural lift in the face. So if your haircut adds more bulk down low, it's doubling down on that effect. It can make you look tired or even older than you are. So what did we do for Janet? We shifted the volume. We removed some of that weight at the jawline and cheeks and added softness and lift near the temple area instead. Just moving that fullness up a couple of inches made her entire face look more lifted and open. You know how a good pair of earrings can draw the eye upward and make your neck look longer? It's the same with hair. Where you place volume matters. When it sits too low, it pulls everything down. When it's higher, it lifts the whole appearance. It's all about balance and flow. And the best part is, you don't need to drastically change the length or get a new style. This can be done with simple layering and shaping. Janet kept her preferred length. We just moved the emphasis. And the result? She looked refreshed. Her cheekbones popped a bit more. Her face looked slimmer, even though we didn't touch her actual face at all. So if you're someone who's ever said, "My face is too round," or "I don't like how wide I look in pictures," take a moment to consider your haircut. Where's the volume sitting? Is it pulling things down or lifting them? Ask your stylist about redistributing the weight. It's not about hiding anything. It's about working with your features, not against them. And sometimes, all it takes is a shift in shape to completely change how you feel when you look in the mirror. It is not magic. It is simply designed. When your haircut supports your bone structure, your entire look feels more natural and confident. Let's talk about something super practical, your lifestyle. Because here's the truth. The best haircut in the world means nothing if it does not fit how you actually live day to day. And that was something Janet made really clear right from the start. She told me, "I want to look good, but I don't want to fuss with my hair every single morning." And honestly, I love that. It is honest. It is real. And it is something I hear from a lot of women. We have this idea sometimes that a nice haircut has to mean fancy blowouts or curling irons and 10-step routines. But that is not real life. Most of us want something that looks polished, but still lets us get out the door in the morning without stress. Janet is no different. She wanted to feel pretty and put together, but still be able to air dry her hair or just run a brush through it and go. So we worked with that. Instead of recommending something dramatic or super structured, we went with a softly layered bob, the kind of cut that naturally falls into place. It has enough shape to look intentional, but not so much that it demands styling every day. And even better, it is flexible. If she wants to use a round brush one day for a smoother finish, great. If not, it still looks good with a bit of natural wave. Here is something important to remember. Even the same haircut can look totally different depending on how you style it. You do not need 5 different haircuts. You need one great one that works with you in multiple ways. We showed Janet a couple of ways she could wear it, tucked behind the ears with a little texture, blown out straight. All of them worked because the foundation was solid. And the thing is, when your haircut fits your lifestyle, it boosts your confidence like nothing else. You are not stressed about how to make it work. You are not fighting your hair every day. It just works with you, not against you. So here's my advice. Be honest with your stylist. Tell them how much time you want to spend on your hair. Tell them what tools you use or don't use. Your stylist's job is not to change your routine. It is to build something beautiful around it. Because looking good should not feel like a chore. And when your haircut supports your lifestyle, it becomes less about effort and more about ease. And trust me, ease is elegant. A well-chosen style makes everything simpler. It lets you look like you tried, even when you really didn't have to. This is the moment where it all comes together. When Janet saw her new haircut in the mirror, she paused. Not in that unsure way. No, this was a good pause. The kind where you take a second to take it all in. Her bangs now blended softly into the rest of her layers. The back of her hair was lighter, beveled just right. And the volume? It sat exactly where it should, lifting her face, not dragging it down. But the biggest change wasn't the shape of the cut. It was the shape of her smile. She smiled like she hadn't in a long time. There was this quiet confidence that came through not loud, not flashy, just real. Like she had been reintroduced to the version of herself she remembered and missed. And that's what these changes are really about. They're not about chasing youth. They're about reconnecting with how you want to feel in your own skin. A haircut cannot solve everything. But when it is done with care, when it is shaped around who you are and how you live, it can give you something back. A sense of ease, a little spark, a reason to lift your chin a bit higher. And in Janet's case, it gave her more than a new look. It gave her back her glow. Janet's story is one that so many women can relate to. It is not really about wanting to look younger. It is about wanting to feel like yourself again. To look in a mirror and see someone who feels vibrant, confident, and seen. And the truth is, you do not need a big change to get there. A few smart tweaks, a softer shape, a little lift in the right places, maybe some dimension in the color, can make all the difference. It is not about chasing trends. It is about finding a style that honors where you are in life and supports who you are every day. Because when your haircut fits your face, your lifestyle, and your spirit, you glow differently. You stand a little taller. And that feeling, that is what truly matters. So now I want to hear from you. What part of Janet's transformation spoke to you the most? Would you try soft layers or maybe a little color? Let me know in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else to take that first step too. And if you're thinking about making a change, but not sure where to start, share your hair story. Who knows? You might be featured in a future video. Let's keep the conversation going and support each other.